I started to be involved in the struggle exactly 1982. Let me say in 1981, because in 1981 I was organized to go in Cape Town while they were electing the new president of the COSAS, that is Lulu Johnson. Then we went there. I didn't know what was COSAS, but I've got all the information in 1981 in Cape Town in Parade, where there was a launch of COSAS there, and then there was an election of Lulu Johnson as a president of the COSAS. It was 1981. Yeah. Then in 1982, I became strongly involved in COSAS because I started Form 1 by then. That is what, Standard 6. Here in the high school next to us while we are here, opposite the place where we are sitting right now. There is a high school called Vusizo High School. That was the only high school that was here in Worcester by then. Then I started to be the organizer of the COSAS. I was also recruited by one of the Anglican Church because I'm from the Anglican Church. And then we've got the guys that are also from Anglican Church that were coming from in the Eastern Cape by then. Then they've got that information, that vocal of knowing about the struggle. So they come to us and give us that influence. Then we started at school in 1982. To me, it wasn't difficult because they were recruiting someone that was familiar. As I said before, I started to know about this in 1978 because of my siblings and my parent. Because I've grown up with a single parent.
How many siblings did you have?
I've got 4 siblings. I'm the 5th one. Okay. And then now we're left with 2. And then I grew up with a single mom because my father died. I was very ill. I think I was 5 years of age. Then, yeah, in 1982, I became the organizer of the COSAS in high school. It was so fortunate to me because most of the people that I've organized by then, they became the very big thing because one of them is former Thobeka Mfengu, former bodyguard of Tatu Nelson Mandela. I recruited that guy in 1982 in COSAS organization because I was an organizer. I was very active by then. In 1983, I started to join Uzweyo. We call Zoletemba Youth Organization. We launched it at the same time. We launched Keiko in Cape Town in 1983. I joined Keiko as well. With the influence of Utata Umpilo Desmond Tutu. I remember while we have a march, it was a very big one that was conducted by Alan Pusak, Tatu Alan Pusak with Tatu Desmond Mpilo Tutu, with Tatu Oscar Mbeta. We marched from town, from Misha's Plain to town. And then Tatu Desmond, he had a song that, wow, it impresses me because he always said, Ona, Gwebale Kaya. Sabamap lona webaleka aye sabamapu oma sibamba ningesandla ayangena ayaphuma yatitizela aye sabamapulu. There's the song I will recommend that old man, may his soul rest in peace, because the time he visited our church he used to sing that song. Yes, and then by it, I was 1983. We went in Misha's Plain in that huge, very big protest was conducting by Tatu Bishop Desmond Mpilo Tutu, by Tatu Alan Pusak, by Tatu Oscar Mbeta, or Mamuzehlang, who I named them. In 1984, I was still carry on because by the time I was doing Standard 8. By then, that is JC in old time. Then I was doing Standard 8. I was more and more involved because now we were recruited to COSAS and COSAS was very strong in our schools. Then I was in Zweyo, Zoletemba Youth Organization. You know what happened? In Zoletemba, they taught us how to be the marshals. If there's a funeral, however, the funeral is about, it matters, it's not involved with the politic. But when we've got someone that is with us and there's a funeral in that family, we will go there and marshal. How are we marshalling? We operate to see to it that the elderly people have already get food. We can't just take food in front of the elderly people. And then we will collect all the dusty and dirty things that were used by the time we're eating. We will clean up the place. Then we will wait for the food we will get after if there's something left. So it was the way that, and why if the funeral is going to the church or in one of the civic centers, we will make it a point that we organize the old people, the elderly people, so that they can get chairs, and then we will stand up.
Were you in charge of the marshals at that time?
Yes, I was very in charge. I was also the organizers of the marshals.
Okay.
So in 1984, there was a funeral of our fellow comrade, Unandi Made. She died. She was sick. She had a severe stroke, but she died. Then it is where we prove ourselves in that funeral in 1984 that we are the really marshals. We are really active, and we've got a lot of people that saw what we did, and they also be recruited, and they joined us. You remember during the apartheid time, it wasn't easy to join the struggle. We were not all of us were in a struggle. We were few people that were in a struggle. You were fortunate by then if you are coming to the family that was involved in a struggle, know what they are talking about, and then you will be automatically involved because no one will crush you at home and say you don't know what is happening. While most of the people by the time hate us said, do you think you know what is a struggle? You know where you are going to rot in jail and all that stuff, but we didn't have a problem with it. In 1982, while we started to recruit to COSAS, it was heavy to us. It was not an easy thing at school because they treated us, they ill-treated us actually, because we're not supposed to hold meetings. They chase us away at schools, but we didn't stop. We forced to do what we wanted to do. It was the first time they see us bury the soldier. We call it a soldier because she was so strong in struggle by then. Then she was one of my mentors as well. Tatu Heniferas was one of my mentors as well. My mom, my siblings are my mentors. At school, there was a guy that was called Manta Chris Chawana, and the other one was Pope Mfazwe. I call them my commanders, and the third one was Vuisile Malangeni. I call them my commanders. And the fourth one was the one we grew up together. I think he's older than me 2 or 3 years, I'm not sure. But we were in the same church, in Anglican church, and we were in the same class as well at school. Then they taught me, they recruited me. I call them my mentors, I call them my commanders, because those people who were coming from in Queenstown, in Eastern Cape. Umanda Chawane, he's from Worcester, but he was coming from East London. And they were chased away at school by then because they were doing those stuff. You know, you will be called by any names while you were involved in struggles by then. So while they were here, those are the one who give us a more and more influence about Uzweyo. What is Zweyo? Then we launched Uzweyo, that is Zwele Temba Youth Organization. We went in Cape Town while the Keiko was launched. I was also there with my commanders. So those are my mentors who recruited me the most. We visited Utata Oscar Mbeta in Nyanga East. He was in a wheelchair by then. We've got there what is called umhabulo. Umhabulo is something that you were there, you sit the whole blessed day, you wake up and go and eat, and then you come and sit. We were more than 13 or 15, we're sitting around there at Tata's Oscar Mbeta's house down on the floor, and we hear everything that we want to hear about what is going on about Tatu Mandela, where is he, where is that Walter Sisulu, where is that Oliver Tambo, because those are the things that we wanted to know, where our fellow fathers, where our fellow black brothers, why did they put them in jail, what was the reason? Because at school during the time of apartheid, the white people during the apartheid regime, they forced the education that we have to criticize those who are in jail. We boycott everything. We stop to buy in a white people's house. We stop even at school because the police will go in school and crush us inside our classes. And they know because they were informers by then. We call them imbimbi. So those people will say, those who are in front there are this and that and that. It is whereby they implemented even the state of emergency. it was very hard. You know, we were talking about South Africa. It was chaotic by then because we were listening to the calling of that Oliver Tambo. While there were lots of comrades that were already fled to exile by then, it was so chaotic, you know, in SA, we have to run. We used to harbor the comrades at my house, but the house was also became the victim of the police, so we have to even all ourselves to went out at a younger age. You're supposed to stay with your parent, you can't be. I was in Robertson, I was in Ashton, I went in Cape Town, in KTC, where I didn't experience to sleep in a shelters, in informal structures, but we used to sleep there, you know, because we don't have a place at that Oscar better because the police were bullying there. They were bulldozing that house each and every time. Even once, there were times that we slept in camp, what to call the place? In camp, we call it a camp if I'm not mistaken. It was in Woodstock. It's like an art and craft place. A camp, I think, why do I forget the name now?
I also forget it now. But I
Yes, but it's a camp. We were there. We used to hide there. We act as the students because there were students from Switzerland that were attending in UCT. So we used to act as though one of those students, while we are not the students there, but we hide there. And it is whereby we get more and more umhabulo about the struggle. We used to stay in Mowbray with the, you know, UCT used those that badge of Space Bonner by then. All the cars, they were using most the Volkswagen cars that were traveling the students, those we call today, what we call the shuttles today, ne? But by then it was the cars that were operating, taking the students from Mowbray from Mowbray, Woodstock to UCT. So we used to go there in camp. I might forget the name, but we used to go there each and every morning. While we were there, there is a guy from Worcester that was there and teaching all that, doing the art and all that stuff. He knows that we are there and we are there for Mhabulo. So, and even us, we were even taking our classes, you know, politely, because we are not a school, we have to hide. It wasn't easy.